I've broken down the 3 skills that'll take your business from surviving to thriving, from profits being at break even, maybe even negative, to the moon or wherever you want them to go. And let's get right into it. So I'm Sean Hallmander. I'm the founder of a solar company. We do 8 figures in sales every year, and I'm 24 years old. We're in Tampa, Florida, but these are the keys that will lead you to that business success. So number 1 is sales. Sales has to be number 1. Every business, what they do is they sell things, right? And I think a lot of new entrepreneurs forget about this, believe it or not. And they're worried about their website, they're worried about the product, is it sexy, is everything perfect? Instead of actually going and talking to customers and getting them to swipe their card for their product. So sales is number 1, and whether you're in person or you're online, e-commerce, it's all sales, right? In person, it's more of building rapport, building value, pain, and closing the prospect and asking discovery questions and all that good stuff. But even if you're online, you're still copywriting, you're still persuading. It's all influence, it's all sales at the end of the day. So sales is number 1. Some key things about sales is number 1 is you need to understand your customer's pain points. Your customer's pain points, the one that's right in front of you. Not everyone's is different, right? For us in solar, if a homeowner just moved in and they're young and they have kids that are going to be growing up, they know that those kids aren't really playing video games yet. They're not really, turning the shower on all the time. They can kind of control the young kid's usage. But as that kid gets turned into a teenager, let's say they have 3 kids and they're all going to turn into teenagers in 10 years. Now they're playing video games, right? They're on their phones constantly. They're watching TV. The AC is blasting while they're at work in the summer. So their usage is going to go way up as those kids age. So if I'm in a house like that and I'm selling solar to them, I'm going to explain that to them. I'm going to help them realize that that's the problem that they're in, right? If it's an older family and they're in their 70s and they, believe it or not, if you haven't done people are very aware they're going to die. So they're like, listen, man, we're not going to be around much longer. And they're saying that to me, I'm going to say, okay, great. Well, the reason that you would go solar or someone like you would go solar is, your kids are probably going to end up inheriting this house and they're either going to move in, rent it out, or sell the house, right? So this is sort of a legacy option for you where you're actually getting them in with solar, call it 10 years old, 10 years early, God forbid. So it's already 10 years paid off by the time they get it. They've locked in their electric rate from 10 years ago, which we all know it was a lot cheaper, right? And they get to move into this house with a very much lower electric bill, or that they sell it, then the home value has increased since you made this decision. And or if they rent it out, guess what? The renter gets to still pay me an average electric bill while I'm saving money with the solar panels and paying off the principal of that system without even having to pay for it, right? So that's kind of the angle I'll take with one of those types of homeowners. So understanding your customer's pain points. Another key point when it comes to selling is just the art of persuasion. There's so many books you can read on this. I'll recommend The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. I love that book. It's super fundamental. Anything by Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, these are great books to learn the art of persuasion. And you'll find that you'll be not only persuasive in selling your product, you'll be persuasive in every other area of your life. That's definitely what I've found being in sales for 5 years. I mean, 5 years ago, I didn't know how to persuade people. It was just like, do you want this thing or not? And now I can kind of persuade people, help them change their mind when I know it's something good for them, it's something that they need. It actually comes with a negative side of, some people are so good at sales, they do it all the time. I hire salespeople, so I see this happen, where they'll persuade you into something that's maybe not, not the right thing. And I don't mean we're hiring people that are doing bad stuff, but, I'll have a salesperson, selling me on why he can't work today, or why he didn't work yesterday, or why he took a trip to Puerto Rico when he's supposed to be, selling. So you can actually persuade into negative things too. So it's a very powerful thing, and make sure if you're going to learn it that you're just a good person. You should be a good person anyway. And the last key point on sales is closing techniques. You have to know a few closes, as many as you can know. And so, think of it as like arrows in your quiver. You don't want to run out of arrows. You run out of arrows, you're screwed, right? So you want to have 5, 10, 15 closes that you can continuously use. Because if you use one and it doesn't work, that's okay. Bounce back, handle objections, build a little bit more rapport, close again with a different line. If you only have one line, you're out of arrows, so you're screwed. So some great places to learn closing techniques is books, again, like Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. Like him or not, he has a great book with tons of closes that he used in the car sales industry that you can use in any industry. But and just learning, YouTube videos, you can learn all these things. But those are the three keys with sales: is understanding your customers' pain points, the art of influence, and closing techniques. All right, the second billionaire skill is leadership. Every company rises and falls on leadership. I don't care what it was. If a company goes out of business, I can bet my entire life savings on it was because of the leader, whether something that was in their control or out of their control. But that's a trick question. Everything is in your control, because if it happened to you and there's nothing you could have done about it, you should have prevented it, right? But you have to take that extreme ownership as a leader, and that's part of the reason why not everyone is a leader, right? I have sales managers that are telling me, man, this is so hard, I'm doing this and that and that. It's like, yeah, man, that's why you have the position, because most people can't do it. That's why you get paid the big bucks, because most people can't do leadership. All three of these skills I'm going to be talking about today are things that most people can't or believe that they can't do. In my opinion, everyone can do them, but people have this self-belief that they can't. 5 years ago, before I got into sales, if you asked me if I would have ever done a sales as a career, what? No, that's not for me. I can't sell things. I'll probably be a construction guy or police officer or something like that. But no, you can learn any of these skills, especially not a leader, man. I was the one drinking, doing drugs, being an idiot, and now I'm leading people. I'm literally leading rooms of 10, 20. I've spoken in front of hundreds of people, and I would have never expected that 5-6 years ago. So you can learn these things. But key points on leadership: the number one biggest leadership skill. If you forget all else about leadership from this video, just remember this: a leader leads from the front. You have to lead from the front. You can't tell someone to do something that you would not be willing to do. Maybe they'll do it for a day, 2 days, 3 days, but they're going to lose respect for you. They're going to stop doing it, and they're going to leave your team or your organization. You have to be able to lead from the front. The only reason I'm in the position I am is because I spent so many years doing the thing that I'm now teaching people how to do. It's the only way that people would actually join my team and listen to me, is if I had the track record and the proven results. You should never take advice from someone that's not doing the thing that you want to do. That's a big tip that I have for a lot of people, something I learned early on. Don't take real estate advice from someone that doesn't own any properties. Oh, but I've read all these books about real estate. It's like, okay, yeah, but you haven't bought one. Why not? So you have to lead from the front, right? Abraham Lincoln, I'm reading his book right now. He would come to his army during the Civil War and just spend a ton of time just with the troops, just hanging out with them, riding his horse up and down the line. He wanted to show that he is willing to do what he's asking his people to do. And that's how you garner respect. And that's why the army fought tooth and nail for this leader, because they respected him. He was willing to come down and do the things that he was asking them to do. Number two, biggest thing on leadership is communication and emotional intelligence. This is something that there are plenty of books and resources on, but this is a skill that you guys need to have, is for communication and EQ, they call it, emotional intelligence. And this goes a lot with sales, right? The better you are at sales, the better you're going to be at leading, actually. Not all the time, right? But I guarantee you, the better you get at sales, the better potential you have as a leader. But being a leader is all about communicating and how you communicate, right? It's every single conversation you have to be impeccable with your word. You have to understand the power of your words, because when you're in a leadership position, let's say you have a team of 5 people, you don't realize how much these people either look up to you. Well, they look up to you no matter what, but whether it's in a positive light or a negative light is up to you. But your words carry about 10 times more influence than one employee talking to another employee. Dude, you messed this up, whatever. But if a leader says that to you, to an employee, it carries 10 times the weight. So whether you say something negative about them or you say something positive, it's going to hit 10 times harder. So you have to be very careful, especially when you need to kind of tell someone that they're doing something wrong. You have to be very careful with your wording, because they're going to take it very personally. You can end up getting them upset and pissing them off. You have to really be careful with the way that you speak, every way that you speak. One thing you need to know as a leader is people are watching everything you're doing, everything. So if you're at a team event and people are drinking and you have 2 drinks, you may not think anything of it, but they saw that. And I'm not saying you can't do that. Absolutely not. I think, depending on the situation, you might be absolutely able to. Obviously, if you go black out, they're gonna absolutely know that, right? But if you have no drinks while everyone else is drinking, they're gonna notice that too. And you're saying, well, respect, man. I mean, he could have easily had a couple beers and nobody really would have cared, but he didn't. So everything that you do is being monitored. It's being watched. Whether it's online, social media, in person, you just ran a meeting, the meeting's over and you're walking around, they're watching that. One thing I like to do as a leader in my team is once the meeting's over, I try to be the first one out the door and onto the doors into turf, right? We knock doors. I like to be the first one because I know if I leave first, that's going to influence them. Hey, let's go, dude. Sean's out the door. Let's go. So that's leading from the front. That's leadership. And the third thing a leader must know how to do is to delegate and empower his team, right? So, if a leader's spending time doing these tasks that, for example, someone would be willing to do for $10 an hour, then why are you doing it, right? Like you shouldn't be doing it. And also, if you have a team, say 5 people, it doesn't sound like a lot of people, but your time is now very limited, right? If you're spending time on tasks that aren't helping your employees, then you need to delegate that task to somebody else. Because your job as a leader is to improve your people, is to train them, is to empower them and whatnot. So you have to have this skill of delegation so that you're not doing absolutely everything. Because then you can't focus on the things that actually matter, which as a leader is your people. Your people come first. It's another thing as a leader is like, they don't work for you, you work for them. It's this servant leadership that is probably the most powerful mindset to have when it comes to leadership, is being a servant leader. I work for you, you don't work for me. If you can change that mindset as a leader, your people are gonna love you, they're gonna respect the crap out of you, they're gonna refer people your way. It's just gonna be a much better situation. And the last most important skill to 10x your business is gonna be recruiting. And recruiting is the lifeblood of most businesses, of every business. And I don't mean recruiting in how many employees can you get in the door. That's a skill that, it is important how many people can you get in because you need to constantly be bringing new people in. You need to constantly be bringing new people in because if you stop and it's the same 10 people for 6 months, they're going to start saying, well, Sean needs us clearly because we're the only people that work here, and they can start to get a little bit, sort of ego can come in and be like, well, he needs us anyway, so we can take time off and we can do this, we do that. You need to keep bringing people in, but the main reason is you're looking for A players, right? You're looking for people that are like you. If hopefully you are an A player. If you're a leader, you should be an A player, right? You're looking for more people like you. Actually, I got told this tip a while ago that was extremely helpful, but you should want to hire people that are better than you, right? So, and to me, that was like, well, mind blown, because my whole thing was always, I'm the best sales guy. There's no one better than me. I'm the best in the world, best in the company, best everywhere. And you kind of need to have that to be a killer sales guy. But that's why when you turn into a leader, you now have to drop that ego and say, dude, I'm totally okay with you guys doing better than me. I'm okay with you guys making more money than me. I'm okay with, you guys selling more than I ever have. That's good for me, right? I mean, good for me. I found you, I recruited you, I put you in a place, and you're having success, and it's making me successful and the business more successful too. So recruiting is all about finding A players, and sometimes you need volume to find that, but it isn't about just bringing on as many people as possible. It's about finding A level players, maybe some B level players. You don't want C or D players. They're just going to actually ruin the organization, right? So some of the key things when it comes to recruiting is your ability to identify top talent. Who is top talent? I always say everyone interviews well. I mean, we've thought about it since we were kids. Like, if I get an interview, I've got to, dress right and do this. But everyone's going to interview well because it's nervous. It's important to them. And so they're going to come across as like Superman. But then as soon as you hire and bring them on, you're like, oh, this isn't Superman at all. So my favorite way of identifying top talent is track record. Like numbers don't lie. I'm big on numbers don't lie. What did you do before this, right? Some of my best salespeople were car salesmen before they got into solar, and they killed it in car sales, right? And their employees would tell me, their coworkers back at the dealership would tell me, you'd see it on social media, but these guys were killers. And guess what? When they come into solar, nothing different. They're killers again. Number 2 with recruiting is it's a sale. You are selling someone to say, hey, come work with me. Come dedicate the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forever many years to working with me. It's a big freaking deal. And I actually say it's much bigger than selling one solar system. Selling a recruit to come work with you is the amount of time that they're going to spend with you, the other jobs that they could potentially have gone and gotten. If you have to make them relocate, you're literally making them move their entire life, their family, their everything. So, recruiting is definitely a sale, man. Now, does that mean that you're like begging them to, work with you? No, that doesn't work in sales or recruiting, right? It has to be this level of indifference of like, look, this is a good opportunity for you. And, if you're a killer, we do want to work with you, but we don't need you, right? It's not like our business is going to crash and burn if we don't get you. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but imagine you're interviewing someone and they're like, dude, please work with us, man. Like we need you. You're like, what the heck? What's wrong with this business? So you have to be able to pull away a bit, pull back, be like, look, we'll see if this is going to work out once we get through the interview process. But if all looks good, we'll run it up the flagpole and we'll see if you're a good fit. And that's a big part of recruiting. You want them to really want it. You want to kind of take it away so that they want it, right? And you have to sell the vision. Sell the vision of where the company's going, of where they will go. Most importantly, people are always thinking about themselves. Where is this business and this opportunity going to take me towards my dreams and my future? So again, back to sales, you're identifying pain points. You're identifying their dreams and their goals. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Oh, you see yourself with that kind of car, living in that kind of house? Okay, great. Well, this is what we'll need to do to be able to do that. But I think working with us, I think you can do that. So that's super important. Now, the third thing is, let's say you're a great recruiter, you're bringing on killers all the time. Can you retain top talent? Can you keep them in the business, right? People, especially this day and age, there's not a lot of loyalty in the business market. People jump from company to company like it's freaking, it's like their phone provider. I don't know. But you need to be able to retain top talent. How do you do that? It's because the recruiting process never stops. It doesn't stop once you've hired them, it's done. Okay, great. Now they work for me forever. No, you're recruiting that rep or that person until they leave, right? Until, you have to let them go or they leave the organization or something happens. So what does that mean? You're still building the vision every day. You're still saying, hey, where are we on track to this goal? I think you need to do X, Y, Z to get there. You're improving the company, right? You're being that leader that someone wants to work for. Hey, is this guy doing the things that he promised that he would do? Is he trying to scale this company and make it a better place for people to work and, make it a cooler thing that I can be proud of to go tell my family about and this and that? Is he doing that? So being a good leader, is he leading from the front? Or is he telling us to do stuff that I know darn well he wouldn't do himself? So that's the final skill when it comes to 10xing your business. If you guys can nail these 3 skills, you have no income limit. You can be a billionaire if you can be a master at selling, leadership, and recruiting. There's no limit to how far you can go.